How's it going today, everyone? Today, I wanted to talk about one of the more interesting stories I've seen in recent manga history, and that is the story around Kagura Bachi. Kagura Bachi is a manga created by aspiring mangaka Takeru Hokozanu in hopes of achieving his dream of having a successful manga. Shonen Jump Weekly would put Kagura Bachi on the cover of their magazine in early September of 2023, and this would spark something in the anime and manga community that I've never seen before. A huge group of hundreds of thousands to maybe even millions started a movement around Kagurabachi. People all over social media were calling it the next big thing in shonen or the greatest manga of all time. Now, this all was mostly a mix of memes and jokes, but there was no denying there were some that were genuinely hyped, and even myself was interested beyond all the memes. Keep in mind, this is all going on before a single chapter had even dropped. All we had was a single color page on the front of a magazine. So that brings up the question, why this manga? Why was this series the one that got all of the hype and the memes around it? And could it possibly have hurt the success of this manga if people didn't actually choose to pick it up and read it? So when looking at this cover, there's two things you can take away from it that people would be intrigued by. Number one, he is a swordsman, and number two, he looks cold. And this makes for a combination that is one of the most loved in all of anime. I mean, think about it. Zoro, Sasuke, Kenshin, Ichigo, etc., etc. Y'all know the coolest swordsman, I don't have to explain that. The way it garnered so much attention from various social media posts that I'll put on screen was just insane to see. But the real question was, would these people be tuning in to read this manga when the first chapter would release? And the answer is yes, they absolutely did. Using Manga Plus metrics, which is the only one we can really use, for those who don't know what Manga Plus is, it is a manga reading app similar to the likes of Shonen Jump and Viz. It's valid enough as all the top mangas such as One Piece, Dragon Ball Super, Jujutsu Kaisen, and more are all at the top of the charts. And Kagurabachi would hit Manga Plus and start climbing the ranks very quickly, peaking at number 2 right behind One Piece, which made it seem like it was a hit. But as we know, no matter how well you do online, if you are not able to sell, you will not make it for very long. There are exceptions, but that is just how it is in as crucial of a market as Shonen Jump. There's been a huge list of manga that were liked by fans that were axed. And usually a manga will get axed if it's not selling well or it just has bad reception from fans. Such as Ayashimon, The Hunter's Guild, Samurai 8, and many, many more. It sucks seeing abrupt ends to so many manga. But that's just how it goes. As for Kagurabachi, it remained in a good spot online, clearly gaining a true strong fan base behind it, even after it came down to earth from an extreme high from the memes and movement online. Volume 1 of Kagurabachi would release on February 2nd of 2024 in Japan. And with a pretty big amount of pressure for it to do well, it did. The first volume sold out relatively quickly, that being within the first couple of days, as well as an issue for reprints is already on the way. So, it would seem Kagurabachi is definitely in the clear for now, already gaining mild success. To compare this to other series' first volume sales ranks since 2021, only one series placed as high as Kagurabachi did at 4th, that being The Elusive Samurai, which, as you can see, is still going strong to this day. Even things that placed as high as 12th ended up being cancelled, which is kind of crazy to see. But generally, manga in the 15th or higher range are safe at least up to this point in 2024. RIP to all the great manga lost due to this. Some of these are honestly pretty solid to me. It just goes to show how insanely difficult it is to do good in this industry. And those manga I just showed on screen were only from 2021 until now. So just imagine how many cancelled mangas there have been in this company's history. But as for Kagurabachi, it seems to be heading in the right path. So now I want to express some very quick thoughts about the series and the future of it as well. Let's start with Chihiro, the MC of our story. He comes off as a cold-hearted individual, which as we know comes from the unfortunate loss of his father, whose past had finally caught up with him. Following this, Chihiro would dedicate his life to collecting all the stolen blades created by his father, with each of them having special abilities. So that pretty much sets up the premise of the story so far, and through 19 chapters it's honestly been pretty good, with the major standout being the fights. The art during the fight scenes are pretty insane sometimes. I really love its depiction of motion, much similar to the likes of Jujutsu Kaisen. Takeru also very regularly uses some incredible unique shots during his fights that help you visualize it very well. Even the author of My Hero Academia was impressed by it, referring to his style as movie-like, which I completely agree with. Like seriously, these are some of the best fighting panels I've seen in recent manga. One thing I need to mention is the first major villain, Sojo. Now I won't go into too much detail, but for the first villain in the manga, it was done very well. To wrap up these quick thoughts, Kagura Bachi is already pretty good and has potential to be something great. Finally, I want to talk about the future of this series. I 100% believe that this series is certainly here to stay. It just has that feel to it to go along with the story, especially with its standout qualities such as the fights and the paneling. And that should make it easily appeal to new audiences in the future who do decide to give this manga a try. With that being said, it is far from perfect, but I'm not here to criticize it in this video here. The status of this series is still going strong more than 5 months later of its peak in popularity. So maybe one day we will see this animated, but as for now, let's enjoy it. I recommend everyone go check it out, and if you have read it or are caught up, let me know your thoughts on the series. If this manga does happen to become very successful, it will undoubtedly be one of the coolest stories I've seen personally. If you like the video, subscribe if you want. That's all from me. Peace.